At Davos this week, entrepreneurship is being reframed as a powerful response to global uncertainty. Opus is bringing 40 world-class founders to the World Economic Forum, amplifying their voices across panels, discussions and high-profile engagements with a clear call to action. Don't wait to be led. Build what comes next. Arabile Gumede caught up with the Opus Delegation at Davos in Switzerland. And with that, it's good night from me and the rest of the team. Goodbye.
As we continue more conversations at the World Economic Forum here in Davos, Switzerland, key question marks about how do we build the next economy? What does that look like? It's often said that entrepreneurs may be able to help in that regard. So we need to give them support from an early stage. And who else to speak about that than the managing director at Opus, as they find support for founders as well. Ken Donald joins us now. Ken, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. What brings Opus to the World Economic Forum and the kind of key conversations you're having?
Yeah, so let me just explain what Opus is maybe first of all. Opus exists to supercharge entrepreneurship and founders around the world. At the core is our member community, and there we have 1,000 members around the world. These are founders who are game changers, and they are building businesses that are changing the face of industries. In addition to that, we supercharge entrepreneurship through the Early Stage Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, sponsored by Investec. The 5 winners of that are here with us in Davos this year. And we also are building for the -1 to 0 journey, so that's encouraging people into entrepreneurship. This is our 3rd year at Davos. It's our biggest yet. We've got 50 people in our delegation. So that's a mix of Opus members, the Early Stage Entrepreneur of the Year Award winners that I mentioned, and some of our corporate partners as well. We're bringing those people together here and giving them a platform at the World Economic Forum. That's exposure, that's for them to create connections, and that's for them to make partnerships and potentially even meet investors to raise money. So really, I would think of this as an amplification for these amazing founders building incredible business.
Yeah. What makes this year's WEF a little bit different, do you think, though? Whether it be politically, economically, of course, even socially, possibly too?
I think here this year, I've been really taken, so the theme this year is spirit of dialogue, but I've actually been really taken with the theme, I think, of our delegation in a way is actually spirit of action. So this is a group of people who are, as I say, game changers. They're really hungry for change and to make an impact in the world. The conversations that we're having around the tables that we're convening here and that the entrepreneurs we've brought together are having are really about what do we do next? How do we take those tangible next steps to do things and get on with practical execution? But that's what I think this is about for Opus.
Very interesting, actually. We're living in uncertain times, and I think maybe that's the new normal, one might say. But what differentiates a good leader from possibly those that struggle, especially in difficult times or uncertain times?
I think ultimately the most important thing is to remain calm, I think, in those situations. The world can change rapidly around you, but I think you've got to stay the course, and I think to do that, you have to remain calm and really understand your position within it. Within this rapidly changing world, there are a huge amount of opportunities as well. The thing about entrepreneurs, I think they really spot where you can make a change, where you can make a difference. And actually, I think that presents an opportunity. It's maybe a different thing if you're in a large business that has tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of employees. But actually, with entrepreneurs who are building and scaling businesses, this is a time, remain calm, identify opportunities, and actually get on and execute. So I think as much as possible, obviously, you need to look to the world, you need to look how things are changing, but ignore some of the noise and get on and build is what
I mean, that's probably the difficult part, ignoring all the noise. And then one question somebody would ask is, how do you advise some of the leaders around just with regards to balancing short-term survival, especially with long-term strategy? Because you have to let go of the noise, surely, then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the perennial challenge, I think, at this stage. In order to be successful long-term, I think you do have to deliver the results in the short term. So it is really about execution. In order for you to get to that next stage, whether that's raise money or whether that's potentially get that new corporate partnership, you need to demonstrate the traction and the momentum that's coming through your business. So yeah, I think you have to have these two modes in mind. I think you know, short term, delivering on the plan, delivering on the execution, identifying opportunities, bringing in this world, there's always stuff that changes, and I think short term you need to identify that and act on it. But at the same time, you know, and the challenge of leadership, I think, in this space is that you have to have two hats. The other hat is what's happening long term. What are the long-term trends that are happening in the world? What are the tailwinds? What are the headwinds? And if you've identified that and you've identified your unique position in the world and in the market, you stay the course. So you've got to have that in mind. You've got to excite people. You've got to excite the ecosystem. You've got to excite your stakeholders. You've got to excite your colleagues around where you're going. So you've got to keep that in mind. That is your job as the leader, as the CEO, as the co-founder. But also you need to have one eye to execution and execute brilliantly.
So then let me pose that question to you. What is your long-term strategy, pretty much, especially in an ever-changing global landscape?
Yeah, I mean, we see entrepreneurship as the answer to many of the problems, I think, that exist in the world today. We want to make sure that entrepreneurs are set up well for success and founders are set up well for success. That's what we do through the Opus community. But we want to encourage many, many more people into entrepreneurship. This really is, we think, the time for founders. Technology is the cheapest it's ever been and is no longer really a differentiator. People can use foundational models and build on top of that. People can identify really value-add propositions for customers and for end users. So for us at Opus, we want to encourage as many people into entrepreneurship, and we want to give them the skills to build and succeed when they do that. The important thing when we come to somewhere like the World Economic Forum, this is our third year in Davos. Our community of 1,000 members today is across the UK, UAE, South Africa, and Europe. We want to expand into further areas as well. There's an exponential benefit, we think, from bringing more and more countries and communities into the Opus world, and that's what we'll continue to do.
I guess that coming to things like the World Economic Forum mean that you can then stay relevant as well in this time as well. And when you think about the client challenges that become a whole lot more trying, or a lot more complex, and the interconnectedness, is that how you stay relevant now?
I think we need to be very, very close to our members. And we need to understand what their challenges are. We need to understand what we can do to unlock opportunity for them, and we need to execute brilliantly on that. That really is how we stay relevant. So I think for us, staying relevant means understanding what happens in lots of the ecosystems around the world at the early stage space. Coming to something like the World Economic Forum is actually an opportunity for our members, for founders and for entrepreneurs to share what's happening in their worlds. We've got the CEOs of the world's largest companies here. We've got world leaders here. They are interested, and they don't often get a really deep insight in what's happening in some of these frontier technology areas and what's happening in very innovative businesses and very innovative propositions. So our relevance, the way we stay relevant in Opus is staying close to our members and staying close to that early stage ecosystem. And I think at the World Economic Forum, the opportunity here is for those early stage entrepreneurs and founders to demonstrate what they're doing, and actually to be honest, also inspire people to build in an entrepreneurial way that is, that is changing things up, that's being innovative, that's finding solutions for things, that's challenging the status quo. Yeah. Those are things I think that really all companies could benefit from implementing.
Well, Ken, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Newzroom Africa. That is Ken Donald, the Managing Director at Opus. We continue to look at entrepreneurs and find ways that they can ultimately help the global economy just a little bit further and beyond. Those are the kind of conversations happening right here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. For Newzroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Arabile Gumede.